Yes, welcome to Karen, our awesome guest on our Aussie Dream podcast this week. And pretty much her story is, I would say, a classic Aussie battler to triumph story. So she started
Rags to riches.
yeah, and I'll let her explain more in detail, but essentially her company, Rainmaker Property, is the vehicle that she does everything through, but she really started the business when she was 41 as a strategy to build her own wealth from learning from her failure of another business beforehand. But she didn't actually stay there. She rose to the occasion and took on the challenge of being a property entrepreneur. And since then, amazing achievements. She's done more than 55 renovations and small developments in the length of 6 years, which is a fantastic achievement. People are usually like, yeah, I can do 1 or 2 a year. Nope, 55 over the last 6 years is what Karen set her sights on. Yeah, she has coached more than 130 people around Australia. And she has done public speaking about her amazing talent as an expert in property renovation. And she is also a super mom. Her son is 14 years old and apparently is already also learning her property wisdom and how to invest and finance, which is amazing. And also, if you need to dream or think, eat property daily, yeah, she's married to a real estate agent.
Never enough property.
Exactly. So I'm just like, I wonder what they'll be talking about at their dinner table every night. And yes, she's actually also now qualified buyer's agent. So very excited. So without further ado, my God, Karen, welcome.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you for those amazing, very kind words. It's fantastic to be here. I'm stoked. Thank you for the opportunity.
Excellent. So yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people will be very curious about that journey, especially how you rose from a failure in a business to starting your property journey. So can you just maybe give us a little bit of your story of what happened?
Sure.
And what is
Yep. Always loved business. I originally started my life as a business journalist and a finance corporate consultant. So I've always loved business. My husband and I had a series of franchise offices and in real estate and hit some pretty tough times. And so I found ourselves at a stage at sort of 40 in life, not where we thought we would be, having worked very hard and having built up some good wealth, we found it was eroded pretty quickly. So we actually had to sell our family home, which, as you can imagine, for property people is pretty devastating.
Yes.
And really had to start from scratch, really. So there was lots of sort of mental health challenges around that at the time. I was sort of battling depression, going through all that. Obviously pretty stressful on your health and well-being, on relationships, things like that. So, but it was pretty motivated and pretty driven, and knew I always believe there's a way out. I always believe there's a solution. And so, being property people, I kind of looked, okay, what can we do within property? And so I started to become really interested in renovating and flipping. So, did a few courses. I love personal development. It's one of my highest values, education. So did some courses and did that first project, which was a unit, made a small $15,000 profit, but didn't lose money on the first one. So it was all happy days from there, and pretty well had the bug from there. So kept on educating myself and started to go to a lot more courses and things, and sort of discovered some strategies that we could be using to sort of be buying under market and off market. And that kind of really then got me on track. I also joined a mentoring program. And had the support of an amazing tribe and a community, and really threw myself into that. So sort of the first few years we did 3 or 4 every year, and that was really good. That sort of helped to get us back on track. And then within a couple of years I thought, you know what, I think we can really crank this up. Let's do something big with it. So we ended up, I think then we went to like 12 one year, and then 15, and I think in our biggest year we did 17. Projects. So flips, and then have started to do some small developments as well. So that's certainly, over the course of 6 years, it's been a busy 6 years. But that certainly helped us to turn our situation around, and to put our family in a much stronger position get back to where we were and then some, and now be in a position to start actually building, a legacy for our children and potential grandchildren. So yeah, as you say, a bit of a Aussie battler, property rags to riches story there, I guess.
Yeah, no, congratulations, Cass. That's amazing achievements. And I was going to say, whilst this is all happening, and I really applaud you for obviously, facing the challenges you were describing, especially the mental challenges, because that can be really hard to turn around. What do you think, you've learned along the journey about yourself or business? What are the top 3 lessons you learned, about how to restart from failure, essentially?
Yeah, well, everything is your mindset. I'm a big believer in that you live your life between your ears. So that was been a really big thing for me, is turning that around. So even with depression and things like that, I always kind of backed myself. I guess I had the support of hubby and good people. So very focused on that, focused on my education. I think it's really important that you do educate yourself. And I've probably, over the last 6 years or so, spent tens and tens of thousands of dollars on my education, and I'm sure you can relate to that. But I love it. As I say, education, personal, professional development, I really love that, and I'm constantly pushing myself in that area. And I guess just having a good understanding of my numbers. Like, I guess it's probably helpful that I've always loved business and studied business, and had the opportunity to interview and meet lots of great business people over the years, and now a couple of my key mentors are very strong business people themselves, so I really kind of tap into that mindset about running. I always ran my property as a business. It was never a hobby or a dabble. It was always run it as a business, and making sure that the numbers are always strong and that I know my numbers, and we're never just winging it.
Perfect. Amazing. Yes, I agree. I sometimes, I've also been to these property courses, and some people say, yeah, I'm doing this course because I'm going to do this property thing on the side, after work.
Yeah.
And then you go, well, that's good. But what if one day you can turn this on the side thing into like a full-time thing?
Absolutely.
So I don't know, maybe now's a good time, since everybody's at home, for everybody to review that for themselves, whether it's relevant.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's right. And I think, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. So if you kind of go in and, give it a try, and whereas I'm probably an all-in kind of a person. So if I'm going to do something, I'm giving it 100, I'm investing in myself in it. I want to study it. I want to understand it. I'll put the time and energy and effort in to make sure I can be the best I possibly can be at it. So it's backing yourself, I think.
Fantastic. I was going to say, when you look back maybe on the last 6 years, were there any highlights in terms of fun moments or like extreme challenges you overcame during a reno that you're like, whoa, how did we get past that? But obviously,
look, we're pretty well known. We used to call some of these properties Kaz's crappers, because they are really bad, scary stuff. So we're talking hoarders. Like the first substantial reno I ever did was a classic hoarder's house out of something you'd see on a current affair. So we spent thousands and thousands of dollars in skips just to get the rubbish out, and pizza boxes and dog poo and everything. So to take something that's just so appalling and smells disgusting and that no one would want to go near, to actually turn that into a family home that people really want to buy, it's fantastic, and I still drive past that house. It's in the suburb next over from us. I can still pass that house and go, I turned that around. So I think one of my greatest, I guess, enjoyments is it's almost building a bit of a legacy. So not only am I building a legacy in terms of wealth and business for our family and things like that, but it's also having that positive impact on all those streets and suburbs around Adelaide. I'm based in Adelaide. So it's, changing that, because neighbours are no longer living next to a hoarder's house that has fleas jumping out of it and things like that. So, actually adding value to the streetscape and things like that, creating homes that people are going to raise their families in. So, the money's great, but in terms of leaving somewhat of a legacy, I get a real kick out of that as well. And I think the chance to coach and work with people, I think as you get older, you move away from it's all about you and your career and things like that, and you actually get to a stage that you do want to be more of service. So I've loved the fact that I've been able to coach, so many people, present at workshops and things like that I'm able to perhaps help people, tap into whatever their property goals are, but to help them achieve those perhaps with some of the insights and experiences that I have. So yeah, I take a great deal of pride in that.
Well done. And I was going to say thank you from me for making Australia a beautiful place. Firstly,
thank you. My pleasure.
One house at a time, exactly.
That's right. Might take me a while at that rate, but we'll get there.
With the radio going, Karen, I don't think that's a far off goal. And especially if you train up the people you coach, my goodness, it's going to be a rippling effect.
Yeah. And I get a kick out of that, as you say. I see when they do their first project, when they ring me to say, oh my God, I've got my first deal. I finished that first reno. I've done it. I've sold it. I've made $50,000 to see what it can do for their family and their lives too. It's very satisfying.
I agree. It's very exciting. And can I just quickly share my personal story with Kaz, because we're friends on Facebook as well. I just remember one day she posted the dead carcass of a rat. And then she was like, oh yeah, I found this today. You don't see this every day. And I was like, oh my goodness, what are you working on? And then you just see from that dead carcass of a rat from a property she's clearly cleaning out, to a couple of weeks, months later, when you get these styled properties of the house where it looks like a designer home, and you're like, what happened? And you're like, oh yeah,
where's
the rat? Well, yes, you're the rat. Thanks.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're like, thank you, Karen, for working on magic. So yes, it's just one example of what she does.
Yeah, one. Yeah. Everyone loves it before and after that. Everyone goes, oh my gosh, no way. And I wish sometimes, we had smell-o-vision and people could actually, it's a smell of feces and urine and rotting food that gets in your nostrils, and it's in the carpet. And when you turn it around and it smells fresh and clean, and, like paint and fresh wood and fresh flowers. It's a big turnaround.
Definitely. Now you see why the neighbors, love you as well. I'm sure it's fantastic for the neighborhood.
Yes.
So yeah, I guess right now there's actually talk in the news that the government may actually introducing grants for people to start renovating homes and houses and so on and so forth.
Happy days.
Yeah, exactly.
We're excited. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if people were hoping to maybe start renovating, whether it's their own property or investment property or a project they're trying to start, are there any tips that you have for newbies, since you have done quite a few projects?
In renovating, flipping? Yeah, I mean, obviously there's always the basics that it's really important that you know your market really well. So the phrase becoming an area expert, so knowing the suburbs that you're operating in, knowing who your buyers are, and knowing what it is that they want in a product, because producing a home, say, for a single downsizer is a very different product to what you produce for a young family. And that dictates how you renovate and the quality of the fixture and the fittings and the floor plan and things like that. And also knowing what they're prepared to pay, not over-speccing or under-speccing. If the suburb doesn't expect stone bench tops and they're not prepared to pay for it, then don't do it. If you can get a really nice looking laminate and that's what your competition is. And, I always say to people, spend time, looking at other properties in the area. What is your competition? Because you don't need to blow it out of the water. You just kind of need to be, say, 10, 15% above what the average is. And that will make a great impression. But don't expect to you don't want to be breaking suburb records. Know who the buyers are, know what the median price is, and always stay around that mark, because otherwise, if you hope to break a suburb record, you may well be disappointed. If it happens along the way, then well and good, that's a bonus. But try and stay in that median, that producing a product that people will pay that amount for. And I can't say it enough, know your numbers. Back of the envelope FISOs don't stack up. I never make an offer on a property unless I've done a full FISO. So I'm costing every element, all my costs, my renovations, and I'm pretty confident on my resale. So, and that's probably in a COVID world that we're in at the moment, that's probably one thing even more than ever. It's really important that you're buying well, you're buying in good suburbs that are still highly sought after, and that you're being fairly conservative on your resale. Flipping, as you know, Maz, everything rides on making sure that resale figure is correct, and it may well serve you well to be fairly conservative with your resale at the moment. So perhaps pre-COVID, the finished product might have been worth 600. You might want to allow for the fact that in this environment with this uncertainty, you might want to bring that resale down a little bit, just to make sure that you're not getting caught out. So the basics are always there, but they're even more important than ever, I think, in this environment.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. So are there any exciting projects you have on the works? And once again, this is to prove to people that even during this COVID craziness, things are happening.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, look, we're still buying. Absolutely. So, we've bought a couple of unit reno flips, but in, good beachside suburbs. They'll probably be sought after by downsizers. So we've done, really good specs, plenty of storage, lock up and leave, all the things that downsizers like. And we're still developing too. I think I touched on we're moving more into small developments. Yep. So, we're still seeing really good opportunities that you can be buying. We've got one at the moment, we're buying it, knocking down the house, cutting it into 3 good sized blocks. We can do that pretty quickly and easily. And, there's some really good profits in that. Most people probably would have to work for a couple of years to make that sort of profit. So there's deals there to be had. You just need to be getting out. They don't always fall on your lap. Sometimes they do. Largely though, you have to go out and find them. You have to go and do the work, talk to the agents, send letters, knock on doors, do whatever you have to do. But there's good stuff happening. So we'll continue to always renovate, but we are increasingly, finding some of those small developments. They're less labour intensive, and they kind of tick along in the background while you're renovating. And they've got some pretty good appealing profits to them. So we're doing that for ourselves, but we're also starting to do that for clients now. Okay. I'm actually increasingly being asked to go out and find these deals for people. We have a lot of people that we work with that are cash rich but time poor, and would like to get the benefits and the satisfaction of being involved in a small development. So we're actually going out now and finding those sorts of deals for people and managing the development for them, so they get the best of all worlds. They get to be part of that and enjoy the benefits and the profits without having to have that knowledge or put that time in themselves.
Okay, fantastic. And then I guess with that investment framework in mind, do you then anticipate, what's your perspective on what will happen to the property market in the next 12 months, considering it's all doom and gloom in the media right now about, prices?
Having used to work in the media, having used to be a journalist, I'm pretty
Exactly.
cynical about what they say. And look, and most things that the media talk about, they're very backward looking. So they'll either be backward looking and, what happened 6 months ago just isn't relevant right now. Or if they are forward looking, they're just looking for the next headline. They're actually not really getting a lot of informed opinion. They're just looking for someone that says, house prices will drop 32%. So they latch onto that. So look, it's totally, I'm sick of hearing the word, but it is, unprecedented what we've gone through. So no one really knows. I think there certainly could be some tough times ahead, because later in the year, when Job Seeker and JobKeeper stops and mortgages need to be paid, what happens then? But I think, there's good opportunity to be helping people in those situations, potentially. It might be doing joint ventures with them. It might be helping alleviate their issues with the bank. It might be just, helping them move on, whatever that might be. So again, as long as you're sticking to your fundamentals and being fairly conservative, I think in any market, there's great opportunities to be had. And, often it's these times where things are really tumultuous that great wealth can be created. It's, it could be a once in a generational opportunity.
Exactly. And then, I feel like from a developer's perspective, if you're acquiring now, like the sites you were talking about before, and
yes.
Development is not a quick game, it
no.
takes months.
That's right.
It takes months to get the development approval through and the council and everything else. So by the time all of that's done, the market could have recovered by then. So.
Oh, absolutely. Hopefully recovered and then some.
Exactly.
So yeah, as you say, developing is not a quick turnaround. So I think, if we keep just chipping away and keep doing all the right things and stick to the fundamentals, I don't think we'll go too far wrong.
Yep, sounds fantastic. Okay, so is this how you usually coach your students?
It just feels a bit like a coaching call, doesn't it?
That's very good, very informative.
Thank you. Yeah, well, it's a bit of everything. Coaching is also a lot about helping people with their stuff, with their blockages around baggage they might be bringing with them, or mindset issues that they might have. So I guess that's what I love about the coaching and property coaching. It's a bit of everything. It's a bit about people's personal stuff and family stuff and childhood things. So helping people to have break through those blockages can be pretty cool, because a lot of people, might start a coaching process and don't realize what's possible. And I certainly found that, when I started out, if you'd told me what we would do over 6 years, I never would have thought it. At that stage, it was very short attention span. I just wanted to get us out of what was a pretty icky situation. Coaching it's a bit of everything with what we do. It's the strategies and the tactic fundamentals, but it is also the mindset and seeing what's possible, I guess.
Definitely. And so if you're listening to this and if you're considering maybe doing something in property, maybe doing something with your own property, maybe check out Rainmaker Property and Karen, because if you feel like you need that, extra kick or extra bounce to just get you started, how I met Karen is also through the mentoring program. And same with Karen. If you told me 5 years ago what I would have achieved within 5 years, I wouldn't have believed you. And that coach was very important to getting me to where I am today. So
it's funny, I look back about one of the first times we had a conversation, Mary, and I think we're having a cup of tea in a function room at the morning tea break, and we were both pretty new and raw and kind of wet behind the ears, which is great. So it's also, and it's always what's so great about being part of a great community is to see what other people achieve too, and to get a good kick. And that's good people, a good tribe, get a kick out of what you achieve too. They're happy for you, they've got your back, and they applaud you. They want to see you come up. They're not trying to bring you down. So I think that's one of the great things about you, Mary. You're one of the most supportive people I know. So yes, thanks. We have come a long way, haven't we both?
We really have. And also I'm just very happy for you of your amazing achievements. And now I have more context on why, I feel like sometimes the key to success, if you would agree, is people's why, right?
Totally. The biggest. Yep, I see that. I've had some sort of conversations. Why is it that some people can have the same education and same exposure to the same resources and tools, and some people will absolutely fly with it against the odds, and other people will do nothing with it? And more often than not, it's those who really do something with it. They've really tapped into their why. They have a burning desire, and that's why you've been so good with what you do, because you had such a why around helping people, and that's why you continue to do so well with what you do. Mine originally was a why in terms of pulling us out of the pulp. My why is different now. My why is much more, so I've come from a place of desperation. I'm now much more driven by inspiration. I actually want to be a really positive influence in other people's lives. I want to show people what's possible. I want to share the experiences and help them to fast track. And I've made a lot of mistakes along the way. So if I can help some people avoid some of those mistakes, although you need to make your own mistakes, but I'm much more inspired by that now. And so I think that's kind of what gets you out of bed every morning. And I think when you love it, it doesn't feel like work. Like property, people go, how many hours a week do you work? I don't know. I probably work a lot, but it doesn't feel like work. So that's a privilege.
Yes, that's amazing. Like when you wake up in the morning and you look forward to what you do rather than, not that job again. It's like, no, it's not a job. It's what I live and breathe and my mission in life.
That's right. Yeah. Yep, not working for the man, working for this woman.
Exactly. Boss lady, thanks.
That's exactly right. Boss lady. Exactly.
And then what do you think, your son has possibly absorbed? I'm sure he's been watching your journey as well. And does he sometimes even join you on the work sites just to check out?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So obviously, he was 8, so 14 now. He was 8 when we kind of really, obviously he was around property anyway because we were real estate agents and things like that. Yep. But certainly he just, he's, it's by osmosis, I guess, because he's in the background a lot. He might hear me coaching. He might hear me on the phone to my mentors. He'll hear me talking to tradies. Certainly, he comes on site and things like that. When you said earlier about what's the dinner table conversation, well, it's about property. Or building a property business. Who would have thought it? So for him, he loves it. And, I don't know It was a few years ago, Scott and I were talking, I'm like, oh, what do you think the additional, like, you know, the added value, if we put an ensuite in, what do you think that adds, you know, and Lockie pipes up, oh, about 30,000. And I looked at Scott and went, yeah, that's about right, you know. And I'm like, how does he know that? Like, he was 12 then. You're like, how do you ever know that? But I guess that's all he knows, you know. And he was asking me about capital gains tax the other day. And how that works and tax rates and things like that. So, look, you know, he doesn't have to, you know, if property's not his thing down the track, that's completely cool too. But I just think I wish I knew what I know now, you know, at 14. So, you know, I think he'll probably end up doing something with it. But he's not so much a tradie type. He's more crunching the numbers and doing the FISO and working out what the ROI is and if there's enough profit in it. He's kind of driven by that side of things. So.
Fantastic. I was going to say, you know how a lot of parents have been complaining about homeschooling. I'm thinking you guys have taken homeschooling to a whole nother level.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been homeschooling forever. Yeah, it's what we do. Yeah, you know, and he doesn't so much now, but you know, he's been to that many open inspections. He's overheard that many conversations with tradies and agents and things like that. So yeah, he gets it. So, but we might turn him the other way. He might be just so sick of property. By the time he's 18, he might be like, I'm not buying a property, but he might love it too. So whatever he wants to do is up to him. But yeah, I think it's probably healthy from a business, financial, education point of view anyway, what he's picked up from us over the years.
No, that's amazing. Yeah, I think that's the best way. You talked about leaving a legacy, and that's clearly going through people you're teaching and your own family. So that's great.
Absolutely, very much so.
But yes, no, thanks, Karen. I feel like right now, so you can possibly tell that Karen's journalist background from the way that she talks. So please feel free to watch this podcast like 5 times, because I feel like she's delivered so much treasure in the last 20 or so minutes that, yeah.
Thank you.
Just let it settle in your brain. Take a breath.
Love it. Always happy to help people. I'm always happy to talk about property, Mary, and business, as you know. So, yeah, if someone can get some little snippet of something today that's worked for them, well, then fantastic. That's good. That's a good day.
No, thanks, Karen. I feel like thank you for sharing your extremely inspirational story. And
always my pleasure.
Also, yeah, I think, you know, encouragement to everybody is just to start doing something. I think when you're in the ditch, and we've all been in the ditch, and clearly Karen has been there, but the one thing is just take one step out of it. We're not asking to run out of it. If you want to, you can. But just start taking one step, and then
that's right.
Next. And
every day, like I know I set my whole day is every day I'm looking at what's on my to-do list, and I ask myself, is this taking me closer towards or further away from my goals? And if it's taking me away from my goals, I don't do it. I either cut it off the list, I delegate it, I delete it, or whatever. So it's just, you know, keeping your eye on what it is, you know, what it is, tapping into your why, and just doing something every day, even if it's a little bit, as you say, Mary, just something a little every day, and then you look back 6 years later and go, holy crap, what happened?
I renovated more than 55 houses.
Happy for the record to be broken.
Exactly. That's only the beginning. Okay, so maybe just last question, let's make it slightly more fun, and let's open up your imagination, Cass. So let's say this is more a dream bucket goal, what I call it. So in the next, let's go into that space. So in the next 10, 15, or it could be even sooner than that, what's sort of like your ultimate vision for your life? And
wow, that's a good one, Mary. I think building on what I've done. So a legacy is really important to me. You know, when you're often doing self-development courses and things, it's, you know, writing your obituary and what is it that you would want people. So I think for me it would be about, if I could look back in 10 years time, and, you know, there are many hundreds of people that you know, I had the privilege of coaching, and they've been able to build their own legacies. If I've had some little drop in the bucket impact or influence in some way on, you know, so I don't know, let's call it 1,000. Let's draw a line in the sand while we're here. You know, so if I could have an impact, have coached 1,000 people who have able to, in whatever way it works for them, tap into property and the mindset and the business opportunities that come from it, then, you know, I'd be happy with that. I'd die happy if I'd done that.
Wow. Amazing. And yeah, once again, I think that's just further confirmation of how much, contribution is important to you. So
yes, absolutely. Service. Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of respect. Thanks, Karen, again for your time.
Thank you, Mary.
And
my pleasure.
I will link all the details to Rainmaker Property and Karen in this episode. So you can, if you want to contact her, feel free to do so. And yeah, thanks, Karen. Look forward to your next 100 projects.
Awesome. Thanks, Mary. Thanks, guys. Take care.